Can I just ask quickly, what did you think of the Freedom Convoy?
I really do hope that they get what they deserve in court. I think it was ridiculous.
The NDP are starting to talk about a new leader. Welcome back to Moose on Loose. My name's David. Today we've got an interview with Heather McPherson. They're basically queuing it up for her to run for the leadership of the NDP. We've got Mark Carney laughing about the negotiation situation with Donald Trump. I don't know why. Mark Carney seems to think it's funny that he hasn't got a deal yet. We got more wasteful Liberal spending, a street interview with a Liberal who's completely detached from reality, and more madness in the housing market. Let's jump into this. Got this one from Pierre saying Carney comes out of the Premier's meeting with no projects planned, no pipelines, no new mines, no new LNG plants, nothing. More talk, no action as Canadians get poorer. Carney has achieved nothing. Thought this was interesting too. Energy Minister Tim Hodgson here posting this on LinkedIn. His first 70 days laying the track for national projects. These are all his big achievements. Bunch of fluff in here, but here are his achievements. These three. 21.5 million made for Canadian CCUS technologies, from subsurface CO2 storage to clean diesel in Alberta, laying groundwork for large-scale deployment of decarbonized oil production. This is his big achievement. Decarbonized oil. What an absolute joke. Nearly 16 million for clean energy projects in the Maritimes, helping drive down costs, boost reliability, and move us closer to regional energy independence. That is an outright lie. He's talking about this whole green hydrogen scam, where they use wind turbines to create ammonia and then send that over, freeze it and heat it and all that jazz. It's highly inefficient. It's not reliable. It creates all sorts of environmental hazards, not only in the ocean, but on beaches when these windmills eventually will break. Fiberglass going all over the beaches, making them unusable. And that's all because they invest in these projects and they make money off the stocks. This does not boost reliability and move us closer to regional energy independence. How about building small modular reactors? How about more oil and gas? These guys know what the answer is. They're just doing what benefits them, not Canadians. We've got this new AI-driven geoscience initiative to scan and digitize historic drill cores across the country, starting in Northwest Territories, one of the country's richest untapped critical mineral regions. This work will reduce exploration risk, attract new capital, and help build one unified Canadian digital core library as a national resource. I got nothing against this. This sounds like a great idea. Have they actually done anything? Or is that just writing it on LinkedIn and not following through with anything? For 70 days, that really doesn't seem like a lot. Decarbonize oil production, congratulations. That doesn't help anyone but yourself. Moving ahead, we got Tamara posting this one. Hard to believe that these are headlines just 24 hours apart. In what world does our government have its priorities straight? Globe and Mail saying Ottawa's hotel bill for asylum seekers reaches $1.3 billion. I showed you guys this story a couple days ago. If you include provincial money, it's $2.5 billion. And today we've got Nanaimo Bulletin posting profound systemic failure, record levels of homelessness counted in Nanaimo. There are areas of Nanaimo you do not want to go because there are zombies everywhere. It is absolutely insane. Got this one from Shazzy Goalie. It says Condo Carnage continues in Toronto, Ontario. $160,000 evaporated. One bedroom condo in High Park bought for $810,000. Why? Why would you spend that much on a condo? In 2022, just sold for $650K. That's $20K loss in 3 years on the starter unit. This isn't a correction. It's a silent, I can't say that word, BB. And no one's coming to save you. This is just a bad investment. You shouldn't buy floating boxes for this much amount of money. It's just not worth it. Next up, we got an update from Dominic Leblanc. Mark Carney's telling him what to do and what to say, but essentially Dominic Leblanc is the one talking with the Trump administration. Interesting hearing it straight from the horse's mouth.
Point person on trade negotiations with the United States, Dominic Leblanc, is in Washington, D.C. today, meeting with American senators in ongoing efforts to try and reach a trade deal and stop this trade war that President Trump launched against Canada when he was back in the Oval Office. Leblanc saying these are complex negotiations driven by the two countries' equally complex relationship. Listen to this.
There is no comparator with other countries in terms of the way the trading and security relationship between our countries has evolved. That's why these are complicated conversations. But Canadians expect us to take the time necessary to get the best deal we can in the interest of Canadian workers. So we're only going to be in a position to accept a deal when the Prime Minister decides that it's the best deal we can get in the interest of Canadian workers and the Canadian economy.
That is interesting. So when the Prime Minister decides it's the best deal, is Mark Carney going to decide it's the best deal on the last hour just before August 1st? Or will there be no deal because Mark Carney doesn't want to jeopardize his own stock values in America? One thing I do agree here, though, is this relationship with Canada and America isn't like any other country. So we should be able to leverage that because we are the the biggest customer of America. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to get a deal. So if we don't get a deal, it's because Mark Carney's protecting his own interests or interests of his friends, such as in supply management or other sectors. Carney promised Canadians he was a great negotiator, and Canada has higher tariffs now than when he was elected. Leblanc is all talk. Isn't that the truth? Our tariffs are higher now after Carney started negotiating. Next up, we got a clip here of Count Chocula up in Northwest Territories, as Ron Gerritsen says, claiming that threats to Canada are the first thing he thinks about when he gets up in the morning, then proceeds to laugh about it. This is not a joke. He laughs about this.
I'll touch on one other issue in the presence of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, which is security. Security in this part of the world, security across in this part of our country, I should say, and security across for Canada. There are new threats that have emerged. Physical threats, virtual threats, tangible threats. We take those threats seriously. We take our responsibility to defend all Canadians seriously. It's the first thing we think about when we get up in the morning. Minister of National Defense does not sleep. He does not get up in the morning because of these threats.
There's something very off-putting about that. He's talking about all these threats to our country, and people feel that when he says that because there are threats to our country, whether it's people losing their jobs in copper, steel, aluminum, auto industry, or the gangsters and goons breaking into people's houses, and this guy's having a chuckle about it? I had to switch over to Cpac to get the original source to see his body language here.
Seriously, it's the first thing we think about when we get up in the morning. The Minister of National Defense does not sleep. He does not get up in the morning because of these threats. And I think we're starting to see the first phase of that reaction. 365-day presence in the Arctic, on land, sea, and in the air.
Is this appropriate to laugh? This is the laugh of a guy who's stinking rich, who doesn't have any problems in life, and he knows he's getting away with his scam. The truth is an economic reckoning awaits Canada, and they are desperately looking for someone to blame. This dude is the threat. He's just a charlatan who is slicker than Trudeau. He gets away with it because he looks experienced and doesn't do the breathy dumb talk thing that was so annoying about T2. Next up on CTV, we've got an interview here with Heather McPherson, NDP. This is who I've been predicting for a while now who would take over the NDP. Listen to this question here. Look at her body language. When he asks her this question, whether she'll be running, she doesn't give a definitive yes, but she's nodding yes the entire time.
Okay, you're obviously traveling the country. You're hearing from lots of folks at home in your home city. There is a website that is pushing for you to run for leadership of the party.
Yeah.
Where does Heather McPherson stand on that? Is there a prospective bid in the works?
Well, there is no race yet. The race starts in September, of course. I've been really humbled by how many people have asked me to put my name forward, and I am seriously considering it.
Look how many head nods. Yes, of course she's running.
Right now, I'm focusing on hearing from people and hearing about how we rebuild trust in the New Democratic Party, how we bring folks that didn't see themselves in the party in April, how we bring those folks back. But yeah, I'm seriously considering it, and we've got folks that are trying to convince me. So we will stay tuned.
So she's going to run for sure, just based on that body language. But their race starts in September. This is going to be good for the Conservatives because getting a female leader in there, it'll draw a lot of the women off of the Liberal Party and Mark Carney over to the NDP, thus weakening the Liberals. So this is good for Conservatives.
Will the decision hinge on, do you think?
Well, the race is going to start in September, and I'm going to continue to talk to folks about what we want to see in a New Democratic Party. And if I think that the things that the membership wants to see and wants the party to do aligns with the values that I have and the things that I want to fight for, then we'll seriously consider it.
All right. Looks like we'll be talking.
Wonder if we'll see a return of Jagmeet Singh. Wouldn't that be funny if he joined the race? Moving ahead, we got this one from Andy Lee. It says, to give an idea how badly money is spent in Canada, a diversity nonprofit has just received $9.6 million since 2016 to empower newcomers in Terrace. Population in 2016 was 11,600. Estimated population 2024, 14,000. That's $1 million spent on an average of 303 newcomers a year. There's no way this this is legitimate. There has to be corruption involved in this. What an absolute waste of money. I see this account on X all over the place, Gator Gum. This is a low IQ liberal that just spews out garbage, uninformed. It's so obnoxious to see these comments like, I think you should clarify that this society isn't funded by liberal government. Of course, you're going to suggest it's a Canadian spending issue. Andy Lee replying, of course it's funded by the federal government. I just threw up, not a little, a lot. Wouldn't be surprised if the people that run it took six-figure salaries. That's probably what's going on here. Seven-figure salaries. Moving ahead, we got this one. Lufanza InTouch Customer Service Center in Peterborough is closing in 2026. As Melissa points out here, yikes, Lufanza InTouch closing their doors here in Peterborough will be impacting 400 employees. That is a big hit to the region. Is this elbows up? Is Canada still winning with all this money leaving our country? And with all that money leaving, all the jobs are leaving. Did Peterborough vote Liberal? Yep, they sure did. We got this one from Canada Proud. It says Canadians from every province agree Canada is admitting too many immigrants. Do you think we are admitting too many immigrants? Yes. Atlantic Canada, 71%. Alberta, 65%. This is actually quite shocking. Atlantic Canada is at the top. Quebec was 63. Ontario 63. Manitoba, Saskatchewan 54. And British Columbia is home to the most brainwashed people. I can attest that. I live in British Columbia and they're all around me. What this chart tells us is Pierre Poilievre needs to make this his number one campaign promise, is to turn the taps off on immigration and not be afraid of using the word deport, because it's time to deport people. People who shouldn't be here, people here illegal, deport, get them out. Got this one from the National Post here. Caroline Elliott, the end of Canada is coming and BC's NDP is leading the charge. David Eby's government is giving First Nations a veto over large swaths of the province. Why? There was a land agreement done 100 and something years ago. You don't just get to flip it back and give back the land now. It's not fair for First Nations to make an agreement and then get all the benefits of roads, agriculture, technology, and medicine from the West and then get the land back later. How does that work? You can't have it both ways, guys. I'm not mad at First Nations. I'm mad at David Eby and the BC NDP. This is the most disastrous government in British Columbia's history, is David Eby and these losers. As Mark Nixon pointed out here, BC NDP handed 1.2 million acres of Crown land to an unelected group representing 1,700 people. Now they hold veto power over land decisions on the Sunshine Coast. This is the template for future deals. The dismantling of Canada is well underway. The tail wagging the dog. This is not acceptable. This land belongs to Canadians and Canadian taxpayers. It's not free for special interests. Isn't that the truth? We all pay for this. You can't just give it away to random people willy-nilly. Is Crown land federal or provincial? If federal, how can they give it away? Regardless, Crown land is Crown land. It's owned by Canadians. You can't give it away to historic tribes of people. That's just not how this is. Agreement was made. You can't go back on the agreement. And one would argue, if you go back on the agreement, then couldn't we compare the situation to Donald Trump going back on his agreement with Canada? How does that make the NDP feel? We got this one from Keenan Bexty. It says, today Canadian gold reserves that Justin Trudeau Liberals sold off are now worth double. Do you think Justin made a mistake? Yeah, Justin Trudeau's an absolute buffoon. According to the Department of Finance, Canada's gold reserves went to $0 by late February 2016, a value that Ottawa assigns to its gold holdings and from accounting perspective where it presently remains. As of March 2016, Ottawa still had 77 ounces of gold consisting of gold coins. So it goes on to say those reserves today, if we still had them, would be worth $297 million. It's almost like the Liberals are trying to hurt Canada. Every year, that's all they're doing. Moving ahead is quite the shocking scene here. We've got Alexandra Lavoie of Rebel News asking just some random people on a patio what they thought of the 2022 Freedom Convoy. This guy's response tells us that Canada's in trouble.
Can I just ask quickly, what did you think of the Freedom Convoy?
I think it was horrendous, right? I mean, these were terrorists causing grief to all of the residents of Ottawa. Frankly, embarrassing.
So I had to bleep that out, but he basically said terror lords, but the other word.
Embarrassing Canadians like ourselves, embarrassing Albertans like ourselves. I wish they never did that, and I really do hope that they get what they deserve in court. I think it was ridiculous. Yeah.
Crown is asking 8 years. Do you think it's enough?
Those are my... I think whatever the Crown asks for, the judicial system should be allowed to run. I think it's absolutely ridiculous when politicians, like Trump is doing in the U.S., right, firing people in the judicial system. That's unacceptable. So Poilievre and...
What about Justin Trudeau stacking the Senate? Is that unacceptable? The Senate is filled with Liberals. Is that okay? How about Mark Carney helping Brookfield dodge $5.3 billion in taxes? Is that okay? How about Mark Carney kicking out Chandra Arya for his seat? Chandra being there for a decade, suddenly he's not fit to be in the Liberal Party. Is that okay? These Liberals never question their own side. It's despicable.
And his some of the, well, Polyev, first of all, not even as an MP right now, making comments that are contrary to what the judicial system is trying to do, completely inappropriate. We don't need politicians. They shouldn't be above the law. They shouldn't.
That's true. They shouldn't be above the law. We still have SDTC documents that aren't being released. Why are the Liberals above the law? Why can't we see that? It's likely because it's tied in with all this EV mandate and all this nonsense that they're profiting from it. That's why they don't want that out there. They've been handing out millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars to well-connected Liberal insiders. And where's this guy's critical eye of that? This is despicable. These people need to wake up. The law is not being equally applied to all Canadians here. It only affects those that criticize the government that is clearly covering up millions of dollars of corruption.
Have any jurisdiction over the law, and you have to let the Crown prosecutors do their job. They're the experts in this. But
oh, really? Like the guy who just got charged yesterday, the drunk driver for ending someone, ending a father? 6 years. That's what he got. And they're going after Tamara and Chris for 7 and 8 years? Is that the justice system doing their job? We are in serious trouble if we have citizens like this who don't have critical thinking skills.
like I said, terrorists deserve to go to jail, and I hope they do get a substantial sentence. We'll see what the judge gives.
Terror lords deserve to go to jail. I agree. But a peaceful protest honking horns for 3 weeks, is that different than Palestinian protesters banging drums and blowing horns and megaphones? Unregistered street protests going on for over a year? Is that really any different noise-wise? Why doesn't he mention that? I'm so disappointed in people like this. It concerns me that some Canadians have only listened to one side's perspective. That's just it. Whatever the Crown asks for, the government are the experts. This guy's a moron. That's it. Viva Fry's got it nailed right here. It's nice to see someone voice an opinion. Bravo, a bite installed in their head from the CBC. He is not a Canadian.